Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. So, in this video, I just wanted to talk about the recent Chris Hansen live stream with Erica, who had been the head moderator of the Onision forums from 2008 to 2014. But before I jump into that, there's some things I kind of wanna talk about. Just a couple of things. So, the day before yesterday, Rebzilla tweeted out this regarding Vincent and Chris Hansen. I respect the work that Chris Hansen has done. However, it appears they misunderstand internet etiquette. 2 days on the internet is like 2 weeks. I really hope that this is being looked into. I really hope that these allegations against Vincent are not true. I hate the R word. So if you've seen my last video, you know that these allegations are true. And really, Vincent seems to be a very shady character. However, I kind of like the idea that he isn't fired in like 2 days, because there's a voice inside my head that says, oh, Chris Hansen just fired Vincent because the public turned on Vincent because some loudmouths on Twitter and on YouTube were mad. If he was fired, then that would be going on inside my head. And I'm kind of glad that he isn't removed in like 2 days. It did took me quite a while to kind of grasp what's going on, And even then, I got things wrong. Bess literally had to correct me in the comment section of my last video because I made some stupid fucking mistakes, okay? So I agree that Vincent is a shady character, but I also kind of think that if he was removed in like 2 days, that would be bad. That would be kind of bad in my eyes, Now let's talk about the topic of this video. That's Erica's live stream with Chris Hansen. So Erica was the head moderator of Onision's forums from 2008 till 2014. And she was the person that Rag Reynolds, medium rare, mentioned in his video titled Onision Forums, a catalog for undesirables. So these all stories are linked together. So let's talk about Onision's forums. For a long time, I thought that with regards to Onision's forums, what was going on the forums was rating the pictures of underage fans. And I thought that, well, it was pretty bad. He shouldn't be doing this. But I didn't thought that there was anything more to it. And there is. There is a lot more to it. Because the forums were not just a place where Onision would go and use photos from these forums to rate underage fans in his videos. That was not all. The forums were also a place where a lot of young people were targeted by undesirables. And it was the culture of the forums that normalized this behavior. Essentially because, well, nobody was really talking about it. People who were undesirables were not shamed, essentially, in the community. So that was the culture of the forums. And Erica talks about one of the cases that she had witnessed of a 14-year-old. And this was not a case of mistaken age or anything. A 14-year-old being love-bombed by an adult and then asking for nude photos.
When did things start to bother you, start to alarm you in terms of what was going on in those forums?
When I came across, so I was a moderator, I had access to, there was a chat on the main homepage. So there was a chat room as well as the forum, and I had access to those chat logs. So if there was anything ever reported, like someone was breaking the rules, I was able to look through the chat logs. And sometimes you come across.
You were essentially seeing the internal investigations here, what was going on, and people would do something appropriate.
Yeah. So I could see private chats as well as the public chat.
And what were some of the things that started to bother you?
The main thing I saw there that's left a lasting effect is I saw someone in a private chat with a 14-year-old, and it was, she admitted to being 14. This wasn't a case of a mistaken age. The chat there, he was, kind of love bombing her, kind of like how Greg does to his victims. He was asking her for nude pictures, and she didn't want to give them.
So this was a known adult in the forum.
Yeah, from
a guy known to people, right?
Again?
And he was a known adult approaching someone who clearly was 14 years old and asking for nude photos.
And she understandably didn't want to send them. And I remember I actually came across the logs. It wasn't just in one instance, it was across days. So like, let's say across 3 different days, he had been messaging her. And, he was telling her, like, you need to trust me and all of this usual stuff. And I still remember the moment I saw her message in reply to him saying, I've sent them. So this was obviously
I've sent them.
Sorry?
I've sent them.
I've sent them.
The 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
The photos.
Yeah. And this wasn't on the site. They had obviously been in contact off the site, whatever way that was, I don't know. But that moment, like, I still remember the sinking feeling of thinking, it's too late now. There's nothing I can do about that other than ban that predator.
That is awful. That is absolutely terrible that happened. And it was the culture of the forums that enabled that to happen. These people who were predators, who were undesirables, were not shamed out of the community. We're not shamed out to say, the community did not turn the back on these people and said, you're not welcomed here, okay? Don't even come here. They would change their username and be back on the forums once again if they were even scrutinized a little bit. All of these things were essentially normalized in the culture of the forums. For once, the first time that you see someone being doxxed, you think that, oh my God, it's terrible. And then you see it the second time in the same week. And then you think, okay, yeah, that's terrible. But then it happens again and again and again. And essentially, you kind of just accept it. It just becomes normalized. It becomes normalized to the point that you think, well, it's just a thing that, quote unquote, just happens. Same with these, once you see a predator, lurking around in these forums, you think, oh my God, it's terrible. But then you see it another time. Then you see it again and again and again and again. And it just becomes normalized, So that was the culture of the forums. That's why the community itself did not scrutinize these people enough. They did not scrutinize them enough to the point that they would never come back. Now, these things that I've talked about, they relate to the culture of the forums. Now, the question is, how much of the culture of the forums is Onision really responsible for? Like, essentially, the Onision forums were like a kind of social media platform. So, like social media platforms, they are hard to regulate. So, how much of it is Onision really responsible for? I do think that he is responsible for these forums, but how much is in his control, And the thing that speaks volumes is his inaction. In this case, Erica Rag Reynolds told Onision multiple times about this problem that was going on in his forums, and, well, he just didn't care.
Did you ever report it to Greg Onision?
Not that instant. There was another time where a known sexual offender had come onto the website. I remember it caused a bit of drama because there was this man who he had made this video thanking someone called Greg, and he had all of a sudden showed up on the forum. And obviously, we were thinking, so he was saying he was thanking Greg for supporting him. And we were thinking, why is this guy here? And why is he talking about Greg?
This was a known sex offender?
Yeah. So I can't remember his name, but he was a registered sex offender. And this was known about him.
And yet he was welcome on Greg's forum, on Alicia's forum.
He came along. He wasn't welcome in my eyes. So I banned him immediately, but I wanted more information from Greg. Is this guy actually associated with you? Because I'm not okay with that. And I'll never forget, I still have the email thread where I emailed Greg asking him, who is this guy? And he was so uninterested in even answering me, which makes no sense to me, because if anyone had ever asked me what's my association with a registered sex offender, you bet your ass I'm going to be telling you I have nothing to do with them. And there was a time that I'd seen another chat where someone had admitted to watching child pornography in a private chat on the chat room.
Admitted watching child pornography in a private chat. Was it with somebody who was underage?
Yeah, they were talking to someone who was underage. Yeah. They admitted that, and obviously I banned him straight away, but I emailed Greg and I said, there has to be something, there has to be a way we can take this further. And again, uninterested, And I remember, because it's not my jurisdiction, obviously I'm in Ireland, I remember looking up resources for the FBI and sending them on to Greg, is there a way we can use this online reporting? And he was like, all we have is an IP. What can we do? Uninterested.
How many times do you figure you went to Greg to say, look, there's a problem on this forum. There are predators, sex offenders, groomers.
To be honest, those times that I'd gone to him, that was all. He didn't care. He didn't care. But also, it's so crazy because I think it was so normalized on the forum that it was almost, it takes a while to step out of it and realize how messed up it is.
Greg was uninterested in answering these questions. It's like he's treating Erica, Rag Reynolds, these people who have legitimate concerns about his fucking website, about his forums, as if these people are just fucking NPCs. And it's he didn't care. He didn't fucking care about what was going on his fucking forums. The forums that has his name attached to it. So Greg was aware of what was going on his forums. He was more than aware of what was going on, but he just didn't care. Erica, Rag Reynolds, other moderators went to him multiple times, and he just didn't care. Wow. I mean, it's not really surprising, but wow. These forums and what was going on in these forums and seeing who is actually responsible, it can get a little tricky. At one point, Chris Hansen refers to this problem as almost ungovernable, quote unquote, almost ungovernable. I don't think so. I think that it's governable. I think that it can be regulated. And I say that because of other social media platforms. Almost all social media platforms have problems with predators, but it isn't as bad as Onision's forums. Social media itself is a weird experiment in democracy. But essentially what I'm talking about here is if an influencer does a bad thing on YouTube, scam their fans, or, there are even just allegations of that person being a predator, there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of commentary videos on that person. There just will be, okay? And you see that community backlash effect. You see that on YouTube. You see that on Twitter as well. So, in a way, so to speak, YouTube and Twitter kind of regulates itself. There's a backlash effect. It's not normalized. Yes, Onision is still on YouTube, and I have problems with that, don't get me wrong. But because of that backlash effect from the community, people like Onision are not normalized on this platform. Undesirables are not normalized here. They are not normalized. But on Onision forums, they were. They were normalized. And I think that it is directly the result of Onision's inactions that it was normalized and a lot of people were hurt by it. Can you imagine how many? He used to have a very large fan base, a very large fan base of young girls. How many of them went on Onision's forums? How many of them met an undesirable and were exploited? We don't know. We don't have the count. All we know is that at one point in time, he used to get millions of views from young fan base. That's all we know. So how many people were hurt? We have no fucking clue. In the beginning, I was thinking with regards to Onision's forums that, it's very concrete and Onision is 100% responsible for this. And I do believe that Onision is responsible for the culture that Onision forums had, such a toxic culture. However, I believe that in this case, it was not Onision's actions that contributed to this toxic culture. It wasn't his actions, it was his inaction that really created the toxic culture. And this is different from, let's say, Sarah's case, because with Sarah, they got the guardianship of Sarah. That's not inaction, that is action. They were grooming Sarah. It's not inaction, it's action. But with Onision's forums, I believe that it's Onision's inaction that contributed to this toxic Onision forums. At first, I thought that it was his action that contributed to the toxicity of the Onision forums. I was wrong. I was wrong on that. And that's why I thought that it was a lot more concrete than I first imagined. But I don't know. I don't know how concrete it is. I do believe that he is responsible for his forums, but I don't know how concrete it is, Let me know what you think about this. Before I end this video, I just want to share this real quick. This bit of the live stream, I love this bit of the live stream.
And I think one of my favorite examples of him being a complete robot was his first book that he wrote. I ashamedly helped him, or I pointed out a couple of mistakes in the editing in the book, because sadly I've read it. And he was like, oh, I really appreciate that you have helped me, you spotted those. I'm going to actually name you in the thanks on the book. And I was thinking, okay, right. And the book comes out and he wrote on it, thanks to Erica for pointing out 2 spelling mistakes. Like, have you ever seen such a robotic thank you in any book ever?
Well, so
He's not human.
It comes off as dismissive.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. I was thinking, oh Jesus, I'd rather you say nothing. But obviously now I would have rather you say nothing. But yeah, it almost seemed dismissive.
Thank you, Erica, for correcting. I can't fucking believe this. That thank you. It's a thank you that only fucking Onision can write. And he wrote it in his fucking book. It's not like, something else, his blog post or something, It was in his fucking book that he wrote that. Holy shit. Even in blogs it would be weird, but in his fucking book, he thought that, yeah, that's appropriate. That's very appropriate. I can't. Oh my god. So that's all that I have for this video. I was actually about to record this video yesterday, but I didn't because I came home and I fell asleep. Well, I wish I had a better reasoning than that, but yeah, that's the truth. I just fell asleep. I just wanted to take a nap and didn't film yesterday. So yeah, comment your thoughts down below about what you think about this investigation and how it's unfolding. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe for more content. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day today, and goodbye. So I have my notes on my phone, just some bullet points, and I've just written, Erica's voice is very soothing and calming. Yeah. And yeah, I agree with that. Erica's voice is very soothing and very calming. Because her voice is just so sweet. Oh my god. I honestly could listen to her all day long.